What did we just hear? What was that? Straight out to investigative reporter Crime Stories, Dave Mack. Did you just hear what I heard? Now.
So we have a cleaned up version of the emergency tow call from the 4th of July in the case of Nolan Wells, thanks to Janetta Brantley, who is a sound engineer.
Guess who was paying for Nolan Wells' independent autopsy? Colin Kaepernick. You guys, this is a big deal. Colin Kaepernick is paying for his independent autopsy.
Kaepernick just shook the entire internet after reportedly revealing a disturbing audio recording connected to the Nolan Wells case. TMZ also recently released a cleaned-up version of a previously published 911 call. In that recording, people at the scene can allegedly be heard discussing what happened after the incident, adding even more questions to an already controversial case. Colin has been passionate about this case from the very beginning, even contributing thousands of dollars to help Nolan's family fund an independent investigation because he believed there were important details that had not been fully addressed. And from the looks of it, he's showing no signs of backing away from the search for answers. From the moment this case began gaining attention online, many people felt there was more to the story than what had initially been reported. That feeling only grew after Nolan's family revealed they had to track down his phone themselves and fight to get it back. Although Nolan's mother, Christine Wansley, has never publicly identified the friends involved in recovering the phone, reports have widely claimed that one of them was Warren Hudson. Initially, media reports made it seem like Warren had voluntarily contacted Nolan's parents and returned the phone himself. However, Christine later shared a very different account. According to her, she had to track the phone down herself, using Nolan's Snapchat location and Life360. After confirming it was at Warren's house, she sent a friend to retrieve it. Even then, Christine says the process wasn't easy.
That location looks completely different than the Life360 location. So when I pulled up Life360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been, like it had, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land, like I'm not. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone, they tracked it.
She claimed that Warren and his mother, Ashley Cole, who is also a judge, made it difficult before the phone was finally returned. When the family eventually examined the phone, they discovered that the text messages had been erased, and the photos from the day Nolan disappeared were no longer there. That's where the story takes an even more unexpected turn. Shortly after that, an emergency call surfaced, involving one of Nolan's friends contacting a private towing company at around 4 p.m. on July 4th. During the call, the caller reported that the boat's bilge pump had stopped working and that the vessel was taking on water near the western tip of Horn Island. Later, officials released a version of the call that included background music and additional noise, making parts of the conversation difficult to hear before the sea tow dispatcher answered. However, reports indicated that a clearer version of the same recording also existed. That difference quickly raised questions online, with many people wondering why the less clear version was released when a cleaner recording was reportedly available. As a result, speculation surrounding the case only continued to grow. TMZ later obtained the clearer version of the recording and enhanced the audio, giving listeners a better opportunity to hear what was being said. The enhanced version of the recording quickly became a major topic of discussion online. According to people who listened to it, voices can reportedly be heard before the dispatcher answers, during the time the hold music is playing. Some listeners believe they heard someone say, "Is he okay? Nolan, check his chest," followed by, "Wake up."
So we have a cleaned up version of the emergency tow call from the 4th of July in the case of Nolan Wells, thanks to Janetta Brantley, who is a sound engineer and an audio expert. Now, before I play the cleaned up version, I want to say that I appreciated that not only did she give us the cleaned up version of the audio, but she explained her process.
Because of the audio quality, different people have interpreted the recording in different ways. After the recording circulated, many online users began discussing what it might reveal. Some speculated that the recording could provide additional context about the timeline of events, while others argued that professional audio analysis would be needed to determine exactly what was said. The case also sparked debate on social media, with some users questioning why there had been no major legal developments, while others urged people not to jump to conclusions before all the evidence had been reviewed. Meanwhile, independent audio engineer Janetta Brantley also released her own enhanced version, which spread widely across social media. Some listeners claimed they could hear the name Bart in that version as well, although those interpretations have not been independently confirmed. This is what led to the viral theory that some of Nolan's friends may have already known more about the situation than the official timeline suggested.
She did not use AI, and she told people to listen with their own ears and gave us a transcript. I also want to give a trigger warning because what you're about to listen to is really hard to listen to. It broke my heart into pieces, and I cannot imagine what this poor boy went through the day that his life was allegedly taken.
However, that interpretation remains heavily disputed. Forensic analyst Robert Freed compared the two recordings and reported that the TMZ version was about 20 seconds longer than the original and appeared to have a different digital fingerprint. According to his analysis, that suggests it may not simply be a cleaned-up copy of the same file, leading to questions about the recording's authenticity. Robert also stated that even advanced audio enhancement software had difficulty identifying the specific phrases that some people claimed to hear, and those words did not appear in professional transcriptions of the recording. Another major point of discussion has been the autopsy. That aspect of the case drew significant public attention and prompted Colin Kaepernick to become involved. He offered to help fund an independent autopsy because he believed the family deserved a thorough and independent review of the available evidence. Because, in his view, there were already too many unanswered questions surrounding the case, and he wanted to help ensure it received a thorough and independent review. The initial autopsy was conducted by Mississippi authorities. However, the findings have not been released publicly. On July 23rd, Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McElrath announced that the state autopsy report would remain confidential until it was presented to a grand jury. Although the state medical examiner's office completed the autopsy on July 7th, the full report was not made public. Officials also stated that they were waiting for the toxicology results before releasing additional information. McElrath has said that this is standard procedure in Jackson County and not something unique to this case.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the work coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
In a public statement, she explained that every death investigation, except those involving natural causes or non-criminal traffic accidents, is presented to a grand jury. According to her, that has been the county's long-standing practice throughout her career. She also pointed to Mississippi's rules of professional conduct, explaining that prosecutors are limited in what they can publicly discuss during an active investigation. According to McElrath, the decision to withhold the report is intended to protect the integrity of the investigation rather than to conceal information. Addressing public concerns, she stated that she understands why many people want more information released. However, she emphasized that legal and ethical rules restrict what prosecutors can share while an investigation is ongoing, and that their limited public comments should not be interpreted as an effort to keep the truth from the public. According to officials, the report is being withheld to protect the integrity of both the investigation and the grand jury process. Meanwhile, the independent autopsy that Colin Kaepernick helped fund was ultimately described as inconclusive. The independent examiner, Dr. Mitchell, said that certain materials he considered important for his review were not provided, including Nolan's throat. Even without access to everything he requested, Dr. Mitchell noted findings that he believed warranted additional examination. Among them was a 12 by 8-inch area of soft tissue discoloration on the back of Nolan's head and neck. The case has continued to generate strong reactions online. One commenter wrote that they believed the level of public attention and support had brought increased scrutiny to the investigation. Another detail that has kept people talking is the condition of Nolan's body when it was recovered. According to statements made by the family and their representatives, they believe several aspects of the evidence deserve a closer look before any final conclusions are reached. The family's independent investigator has also questioned whether every available lead was pursued during the early stages of the case. Supporters argue that those first few hours are often the most important in any investigation, making every piece of physical evidence and every witness account especially significant. Meanwhile, Nolan's family has continued to push for additional transparency. They have repeatedly said their goal is not to fuel speculation, but to ensure every question is answered through a complete and independent review of the evidence. As more details emerged, attention also shifted toward the people who were with Nolan that day. Public interest intensified over whether everyone present had provided consistent accounts of what happened, and that would soon become another major focus of the case.
Hello?
Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just thinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
One of the biggest questions that continues to divide public opinion is whether the timeline released by investigators fully matches the evidence that has been discussed publicly. While officials have maintained that the investigation is ongoing, many online observers have pointed to perceived inconsistencies between witness accounts, phone activity, and the sequence of events reported that day. The people who were on the boat have not all spoken publicly about the case, which has only fueled further speculation. At the same time, legal experts have cautioned that silence during an active investigation should not automatically be viewed as evidence of wrongdoing, since attorneys often advise clients to avoid making public statements while a case remains under review. Meanwhile, Nolan's family has continued to emphasize that they are seeking answers rather than assumptions. They have repeatedly called for every available piece of evidence to be thoroughly examined, saying they believe a complete review is the best way to determine exactly what happened. As investigators continued reviewing the case, attention soon shifted to another development that raised even more questions about how the investigation had unfolded from the very beginning. Another point that has drawn attention is how quickly the case became the subject of competing narratives. While some people have argued that the available evidence already points in a particular direction, others have stressed that many of the claims circulating online have not been independently verified. The family has continued to encourage anyone with first-hand knowledge of the events to cooperate fully with investigators. They have also emphasized that they believe every witness account, phone record, and piece of digital evidence should be carefully reviewed before any final conclusions are reached. Legal analysts have noted that investigations involving multiple witnesses often take time, especially when authorities are comparing statements with physical and digital evidence.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
Because of that, public updates can be limited while investigators work to verify the facts. Even so, supporters of Nolan's family have continued calling for greater transparency throughout the process. They argue that releasing information when legally possible would help answer many of the questions that have remained unresolved since the beginning of the case. As those discussions continued, another detail from the investigation began receiving renewed attention, adding another layer to an already complex timeline. Questions have also continued to surround the digital evidence connected to the investigation. Throughout the case, online discussions have focused on phone data, location information, and deleted content, with many people wondering whether those records could help clarify the sequence of events. Investigators have not publicly addressed every claim circulating online, making it difficult to separate confirmed facts from speculation. Because of that, several legal experts have encouraged people to rely on official findings and verified evidence rather than unconfirmed social media posts. At the same time, the family's representatives have maintained that they are simply asking for every available piece of evidence to be reviewed thoroughly. They have said that a complete examination of digital records, witness statements, and forensic findings is essential to understanding the full timeline. While those discussions continued, another development began attracting attention. It involved additional information that surfaced after the initial investigation, prompting renewed questions about whether every relevant lead had been fully examined. Despite all of the public discussion, officials have continued to say that the investigation remains active. That has left many of the case's biggest questions unanswered.
Now, if this cleaned up version of the audio is accurately depicting what we think we're hearing, then that means Wyatt was being dishonest, because you can clearly hear his name being yelled while they're also yelling in distress about Nolan not being alive. That means Judge Ashley Cole, who is the mother or stepmother of Wyatt, also was dishonest in her statement. And I want to be clear. She said things very matter-of-factly. She said that Wyatt last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. and that their boat left the island at 4:31. So that means that she is speaking as though these are facts. She did not say Wyatt,
including whether additional evidence could eventually change the overall understanding of what happened that day. The family's supporters, however, believe there are still important details that deserve closer examination. They have continued urging anyone with relevant information to come forward, arguing that even seemingly minor details could help investigators build a more complete timeline. At the same time, legal experts have pointed out that complex investigations often involve reviewing large amounts of digital evidence, witness statements, and forensic reports before any final decisions are made. For that reason, they say the public may not immediately see every piece of information investigators are evaluating. Meanwhile, Nolan's family has remained focused on one message throughout the process. They want a full accounting of the facts, regardless of where those facts ultimately lead. And as more records and public statements continued to emerge, attention began shifting toward another aspect of the case that had received far less scrutiny during the early stages of the investigation. As the investigation continued, public attention increasingly centered on what evidence could still emerge. Because the official case has not been closed, many of the questions raised by the family and members of the public remain unresolved. Investigators have indicated that they continue to review available evidence, while the family has maintained that they will keep advocating for a complete examination of every relevant detail. Their position has remained consistent from the beginning. They believe all available information should be evaluated before any final conclusions are reached. Legal observers have also noted that grand jury proceedings and active investigations often involve information that cannot be released immediately. As a result, some details may remain confidential until the appropriate stage of the legal process. For now, many of the conversations surrounding the case continue to focus on the evidence that has already been made public, while others are waiting to see whether any future developments or official findings provide additional clarity about the events leading up to Nolan's disappearance.
But what I will say is that, again, I'm suspicious because they keep breadcrumbing us with this audio, and every time a new piece of the audio comes out, there's something different. And the mainstream media is, of course, not reporting this, and there's plenty of technology that exists that could try to enhance the voices and see what is actually being said. Now, my theory is that someone who was around but was not directly involved is going to come forward soon because they don't want to go to jail.
Even with the public attention the case has received, several important questions have yet to be answered through official findings. Until investigators release additional information, many of the claims circulating online remain just that, claims, and have not been confirmed by authorities. That has not changed the family's determination. They have continued requesting a thorough review of every piece of available evidence, including forensic findings, digital records, and witness statements. Their representatives have consistently said that their priority is ensuring the investigation is as complete and transparent as possible within the limits of the legal process. Meanwhile, legal analysts have observed that cases involving multiple sources of evidence can take months to resolve, particularly when investigators are reviewing technical reports, interviewing witnesses, and presenting information to a grand jury. Because of that, long periods without public updates are not uncommon. For now, the case remains active, and many of the questions raised throughout the investigation are still awaiting official answers. With several aspects of the evidence still under review, the next major development could come from information that has not yet been released publicly. While the legal process continues, Nolan's family has said they are committed to seeing the investigation through to its conclusion. They have continued working with independent experts and legal representatives, maintaining that every remaining question deserves a careful and evidence-based review. Supporters of the family have echoed that message, arguing that transparency and accountability are important in any high-profile investigation. At the same time, others have urged the public to avoid treating online theories as established fact, emphasizing that only verified evidence can determine what ultimately happened. Investigators, for their part, have not announced any final conclusions, and officials have continued to describe the case as an active matter.
Messing with these people. Now, if that is what is being said on this audio, then that means that their cover-up goes so much deeper than just acting like they don't know what happened to Nolan. That means that there were a bunch of people around who know exactly what happened to Nolan, and they all decided that they were going to come up with a story and run with it.
That means certain records and investigative details may remain unavailable until the legal process reaches the appropriate stage. Even after months of public attention, the central questions surrounding the case remain the same. What exactly happened in the hours leading up to Nolan's disappearance? And will the remaining evidence provide the clarity that both his family and the public have been seeking? Those are the questions that continue to shape everything that has followed, leading into the next stage of the story. As the investigation moved forward, the family's attorneys continued pressing for as much transparency as the legal process would allow. They have maintained that reviewing all available evidence, including digital records, forensic reports, and witness interviews, is the best path toward understanding the full sequence of events. At the same time, officials have reiterated that certain aspects of the case cannot be discussed publicly while the investigation remains active. According to prosecutors, protecting the integrity of the process requires limiting what information can be released before all of the evidence has been evaluated. That difference in approach has created an ongoing tension between public interest and legal procedure. While many people are eager for immediate answers, investigators have emphasized that complex cases often require extensive review before any official conclusions are announced.
Now, another thing that's frying me, and maybe I'm confused, is that originally they all was acting like they did not know Katie McCormick, the girl who Nolan was allegedly with on the beach the last time they saw him. But in the stories they keep telling, they keep talking about people texting Katie to ask Katie where Nolan was. But y'all made it seem like y'all didn't know her.
For Nolan's family, however, the objective has remained unchanged. They have repeatedly said they are committed to following the case wherever the evidence leads and will continue seeking a complete accounting of what happened. As additional records and official updates become available, those developments are expected to play an important role in the next phase of the investigation. Even after months of investigation, one thing has remained consistent. The case has continued to attract attention from independent analysts, legal commentators, and members of the public who have been following every official update. Each new statement has been compared against earlier reports, with people looking for a clearer understanding of the overall timeline. Throughout that process, the family has continued to encourage patience, while also stressing the importance of accountability. They have said that, regardless of how long the process takes, they want the final outcome to be based on verified evidence rather than speculation or assumptions. Legal experts have also noted that investigations of this nature often evolve as additional information is reviewed. New witness interviews, forensic analysis, and previously collected records can all become part of the broader evaluation before authorities determine whether any further action is appropriate.
Listen, y'all, it has just been reported that Tyler Perry will be paying for Nolan Wells' funeral. Absolutely incredible. And then on top of that, Colin Kaepernick's foundation will be taking over the independent autopsy, and they will be actually paying for that as well. So basically, they are taking care of the family. Shout out to Tyler Perry, shout out to Colin Kaepernick.
For now, many of the key questions surrounding the case remain unanswered in the public record. With several aspects of the investigation still awaiting official resolution, the next developments are likely to depend on what investigators ultimately conclude after completing their review of the available evidence. As the case has continued through the legal process, both investigators and the family's representatives have emphasized the importance of allowing the evidence to guide the outcome. While public discussion has focused on many different theories, officials have consistently stated that any conclusions must be supported by verified facts. The family's legal team has likewise maintained that their goal is to ensure every relevant piece of evidence is carefully evaluated. They have said they will continue requesting access to information as it becomes available through the appropriate legal channels, believing that a complete review is essential to understanding the full picture. At the same time, independent observers have noted that high-profile investigations often receive intense public scrutiny, especially when information is released gradually. That can lead to speculation filling the gaps before official findings are available, making it even more important to distinguish confirmed developments from unverified claims. For now, the investigation remains centered on assembling the most accurate timeline possible using witness statements, forensic analysis, and digital evidence. Until that process is complete, many of the questions that have surrounded the case from the beginning are expected to remain part of the ongoing review, with additional developments still to come. Many people have continued expressing support for Nolan's family throughout the investigation.
Listen, I love my people. When we look out for each other, they are always doing something for the community. I don't care what nobody say. Y'all can talk about their flaws, but let's highlight the positivity and what they're doing and actually giving back. They actually be giving back. So shout out to Tyler Perry and shout out to Colin Kaepernick. That is absolutely incredible. Now make this go viral.
One commenter wrote, "Justice for Nolan." Another said, "They didn't value his life, so they thought no one else would. They never anticipated this case receiving so much attention. Now I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick helping fund an independent autopsy? And what do you make of the different versions of the 911 recording that have circulated online? Do you think they raise important questions? Or do you believe it's best to wait for the official findings before drawing conclusions?" Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please keep the discussion respectful. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with someone who might find it interesting, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.